Chapter 12 of The Sword and the Stone. Kay the Wart, the Dog Boy, Wat, and Cully the Dog, with Friar Tuck, have all escaped from Morgan Le Fay's castle, and now they have to face down Griffins and Wyverns with Robin Hood and Marion. I had been calling Wyverns wrens in the previous chapter, so when you listened to that and heard me say wrens, I was talking about wyverns, which are a kind of dragon. Here we go with chapter 12. The orders were that everybody was to spread out into a circle and then march outwards from the castle with all possible stealth. The circle would have to get wider, like the rings made when you throw a pebble into water, until it was as wide as the griffin circle which surrounded them. As soon as Robin thought that everybody was in his place, with a griffin or wyvern before him, he would blow his horn, and then, but not till then, they were allowed to begin the battle. Wart was between Kay and Marion, and it seemed a long time before they reached their quarry. When they did reach it, and could once more see the gigantic wings in silhouette against the now bright moon, they lay and waited in the grass for a time which seemed eternity. They fitted their arrows to their bows, so that they would be ready to loose off at the very first note of Robin's horn, but no sound came. The wyverns and griffins were posted alternately. The former, which were much smaller than griffins, were the type of dragon which the Wart had been frightened of on his previous visit to the forest, the type which lived under stones and hissed like kettles. They had spiky wings, 2 legs, and tails like fire drakes. Marion and Wart had wyverns opposite them, but Kay was opposite a griffin. They could see the circle of sleeping monsters stretching away to left and right. The Wart was glaring upon his wyvern with every nerve at full stretch, when he suddenly saw it prick its ears. The scaly head, which had been bowed in sleep, sprang upward, and the ears, which were like the wings in being spiked like umbrellas, stabbed the moon. At the same instant, the nearest griffin woke up and gave a loud, harsh scream. It was a noise like a railway train letting off its whistle. There was immediately a terrible din of brassy cries answering or warning, and on top of the uproar, riding on it proudly like the voice of the Arabian bird, Robin Wood's fierce horn of silver began to blow. Tone, tun, tavern, tonavon, tontavon, ton, tan, tontavon, went the horn, and again, moot, trout, trout rout, trout rout rout, troot, troot, tran, tran, tran. Robin was blowing his hunting music, and now all the ambushed archers leaped up. They set forward their left feet in the same movement and let fly such a shower of arrows as it had begun to snow. The Wart saw the nearest griffin stagger in his tracks, a cloth-yard shaft suddenly sprouting from between its shoulder blades. He saw his own arrow fly wide of a wyvern, and eagerly bent forward to snatch another from the ground. Each man of the waiting troops had stuck his 12 arrows point downwards on the ground before him for convenience in loading. He saw the rank of his companion archers sway forward as if by a preconcerted signal, which each man stopped for a second shaft. When each man stopped for a second shaft, he heard the bowstrings twang again, the purr of the feathers in the air. He saw the phalanx of arrows gleam like an eye flick in the firelight. All his life up to then, he had been shooting into straw targets which made a noise like foot. He had often longed to hear the noise that these gray, true, clean, and deadly missiles of the air would make in solid flesh. He heard it. The rank of monsters was yelling, falling, and running about. Some had erected their poisonous stings and were glaring wildly into the dark. Others, strangely transfixed, were tumbling with their wings pinned to their bodies, or their beaks to their chest. Some scuttled for safety, others made their trumpeting noise and charged the dark. They ran madly upon their hind legs, but stumbled, coughed, or barked, and fell on their faces or sat down backwards in a few yards. As they leaped up, the arrows leaped to meet them. The wyverns, more swift in flight, bounded toward the sheltering darkness in skips of 20 or 30 feet. One of them was coming straight at the Wart. He could see the pointed ears, the wild eyes slit like a cat's, the flying wings by whose action it skimmed. It squealed as it came and let fly one of its poison stings at random. It saw the Wart and leaped into the air like a kangaroo. The wart was fitting an arrow in his bow. The cock feather would not go right. Everything was in slow motion once again. He saw the huge body flying blackly through the glare, felt the feet take him in the chest. He felt himself turning somersaults slowly, and the cruel weight of the body turning somersaults on top of him. He saw Kay's face somewhere in the cartwheel of the universe, flushed with starlit excitement, and made Marion's on the other side with its mouth open, shouting something. He thought, before he slid into blackness, that it was shouting something nice. They picked him out from under his wyvern and found his arrow sticking through its chest. It had died in its leap. Wart was unconscious, and the battle was over. Then there was a time which made him feel sick, while Robin set his broken collarbone and made him a sling out of the green cloth of his hood. And after that all lay down indiscriminately to sleep, dog-tired among the slain. The wart lay propped against a tree. It was too late to get back to Sir Ector's castle that night, or even to get back to the outlaws' camp by the lime tree. All that could be done was to make up the fires, post sentries, and sleep where they were. Wart did not sleep much. He leaned against his tree, watching the red sentries pass to and fro in the firelight, hearing their quest passwords and thinking about the excitements of the day. These went round and round in his head, sometimes losing their proper order and happening backwards or by bits. He saw the leaping wyvern, heard Marion shouting, "Good shot!" listened to the humming of the bees, muddled up with the stridulation of the grasshoppers, and shot hundreds and thousands of times at popinjays which turned into griffins. Kay and the liberated dog boy slept twitching beside him, looking alien and incomprehensible, as people do when they are asleep. And Cavil, laying at his good shoulder, occasionally licked his hot cheeks. The dawn came slowly, so slowly and pausingly that it was quite impossible to determine when it really had dawned, as is its habit during the summer months. "Well," said Robin, when they had waked and eaten the breakfast of bread and cold venison which they had brought with them, "you will have to love us and leave us, Kay. Otherwise I shall have Sir Ector fitting out an expedition for me to fetch you back. Thank you both for your help. Can I give you any little present as a reward for it?" "It has been lovely," said Kay, "absolutely lovely. Can I have the griffin I shot?" "He will be a bit heavy to carry. Why not just take his head?" "That would do," said Kay, "if somebody would mind cutting it off." "It was that griffin there." "What are you going to do about old Wat?" asked the wart. "It depends on his preferences. Perhaps he will like to run off by himself and eat acorns as he used to do. Or, if he likes to join our band, we shall be glad to have him. He ran away from your village in the first place, but I don't suppose he will care to go back there. What do you think?" "If you are going to give me a present," said the wart slowly, "I should like to have him. Do you think that would be all right?" "As a matter of fact," said Robin, I don't. I don't think you can very well give people as presents. They might not like it. What do you intend to do with him?" "Oh, I don't want to keep him or anything like that. You see, we have a tutor who is a pretty good magician, and I thought he might be able to restore Wat to his wits." "Good boy," said Robin. "Have him by all means. I'm sorry I made a mistake. At least we'll ask him if he would like to go." When somebody had gone off to fetch Wat, Robin said, "You had better talk to him yourself." They brought the poor old man, smiling, confused, hideous, and very dirty, and stood him up before Robin. "Go on," said Robin. The wart did not know quite how to put it, but he said, "I say, Wat, would you like to come home with me, please? Just for a little?" "Anna-nanna-wara-ba-ba," said Wat, pulling his forelock, smiling, bowing, and gently waving his arms in various directions. "Come with me." "Wanna-nana, wanna-wa-wanna." "Dinner?" asked the wart, in desperation. "Yum, yum." "Yum, yum!" cried the poor creature affectionately, and his eyes glowed. "Yum, yum!" cried the poor creature affirmatively, and his eyes glowed with pleasure at the prospect of being given something to eat. "That way," said the wart, pointing in the direction which he knew by the sun was that of his guardian's castle. "Dinner, come with me. I take." "Meester," said Wat, suddenly remembering just one word, the word which he had always been accustomed to offer to great people who made him a present of food, his only livelihood. It was concluded. "Well," said Robin, "it has been a good adventure, and I'm sorry you're going. I hope I shall see you again one day." "Come any time," said Marian. "If you are feeling bored, you have only to follow these glades, and you, Wart, be careful of that collarbone for a few days." "I will send some men out with you to the edge of the chase," said Robin. "After that, you must go by yourselves. I expect the dog boy can carry the griffin's head." "Goodbye," said Kay. "Goodbye," said Robin. "Goodbye," said Wart. "Goodbye," said Marian, smiling. "And always shoot as you did last night." "Goodbye!" cried all the outlaws, waving their bows. And Kay and the Wart and the dog boy and Wat and Covell and their escort set off on the long track home. And I think that is a great place to pause.